Elvis Presley's untouched 1962 jet, and the interior is absolutely incredible. Elvis Presley's private jet just sold for May 28, 2017. A private jet once owned by Elvis Presley sold for $430,000 at a California auction on Saturday. The 1962 Lockheed JetStar has sat on a runway in Roswell, New Mexico for 35 years and has no engines and an unrestored cockpit, GWS Auctions Incorporated said. The person who bought it and the buyer's plans for the plane have not been released, the Associated Press reported. However, GMS Auctions Incorporated estimates the buyer could earn millions off the plane once it is restored. The jet in question is a 1962 Lockheed JetStar with documentation. The auction site states that this is the lost jet owned by Elvis and his father, Vernon Presley. It has made appearances on television with National Geographic. It has spent most of its time outdoors at a small airport in Roswell, New Mexico, and 30 years of weather has taken its toll on the aircraft. The seller says that portions of the plane's interior were custom designed to Elvis specifications. This includes gold hardware, unique woodwork and inlays, red carpet, and red velvet as far as you can see. The photos include a shot of the private toilet, which has its own cushioned red velvet cover, indeed, a throne fit for a king. There is plenty of space to stretch out and relax, in addition to a workspace near the back. CRT televisions and what appears to be a microwave are present, as well as a marble trimmed sink with golden fixtures. The JetStar is in unrestored condition, having not been altered since Elvis last owned it. The winner of this auction will receive a signed and notarized affidavit from the seller to this effect. The plane has no engines, and the cockpit and airframe would need a substantial amount of work if this plane is ever to be made airworthy, which is unlikely. It is uncertain who won the jet in today's auction. Was it a museum or other attraction hoping to put it on display? Or perhaps a rabid Elvis fan who will lock the it away in a private hangar and live out their rock and roll fantasies aboard the aircraft? Will it be restored or left in its current state? The jet has been privately owned for 35 years, and is supposedly the only aircraft once owned by the king that is still in private hands. The other two custom planes include a 1958 Convair 880 named Lisa Marie after Elvis' daughter, and another Lockheed JetStar named the Hound Dog II. They are on permanent display at the Graceland estate in Memphis, Tennessee, where they are visited by thousands of guests every year. Those planes were also supposed to go up for auction, but after a surge of protest from fans, the keepers of the estate worked out a way to keep them. Just 204 examples of the Lockheed JetStar were produced between 1957 and 1978, a project that started as a bid to win a USAF contract. When that fell through, Lockheed continued development and created a small business jet instead. Elvis bought a Convair 880 jet on permanent display at the Graceland estate in Memphis, Tennessee. On April 17, 1975, Elvis bought a Convair 880 jet, recently taken out of service by Delta Airlines, for the then substantial sum of $250,000. After refurbishing, the total exceeded $600,000. He immediately rechristened it the Lisa Marie. Original newspaper article from the Memphis Press Scimitar, November 1975. Elvis Presley's fabulous new plane, the Lisa Marie, has arrived at Memphis International Airport after undergoing finishing touches in Texas and California. The converted Delta Airlines Convair 880 with a new white paint job on the outside and luxurious furnishings on the inside arrived at Memphis Aero late Monday night. The plane seems destined to draw a lot of attention, even without trying. When the ramp attendant at Memphis Aero was guiding the huge jet to a mooring, he guided it to a white line and allowed the pilot to park the plane about 6 feet off the line. As a result, one wing yesterday extended about 6 feet beyond a taxi ramp and over a taxiway on the Memphis Aero side of the airport. Parked alongside the Convair 880 is Elvis JetStar, looking like a frog beside an elephant in a size comparison. Pilot for the plane was called yesterday about the wingtip sticking out on the taxiway and he moved it. There was plenty of room for small planes to taxi past, but to keep things according to guidelines at the airport, the big jet was moved 6 feet. The Convair 880 has a range of approximately 3,000 miles and is one of the fastest jetliners around. The Convair 880 holds several speed records for airliners. Cruising speed is about 600 miles per hour and the plane is designed to fly above 40,000 feet. When Delta used Convairs, the plane seated 99 persons. Delta sold its Convairs at about $5 million each, thus, Elvis has a bundle of money in his Convair, after purchasing new configuration. The Convair is the fourth in Elvis' fleet. He has a Gulfstream and a Jet Commander, both of which are up for sale. One is in Maryland and the other in Florida. The name of Elvis' daughter, Lisa Marie, is painted on the nose of the big jet and TCB on the tail. The TCB are initials for Elvis Company Taking Care of Business. The giant jet looks ordinary enough on the outside, but when you step inside, that's something else. Lavish carpeting greets the passenger. There are several seats and then the plane is divided into several rooms, partitioned. There's a plush lounge and a fancy bathroom. Elvis has an office in the plane and one for his secretary. There is a conference room also. And there is a king-size bed for Elvis. Lisa Marie Presley at the controls of her father's airplane, the Lisa Marie. Elvis Presley and friends on the Lisa Marie, January 1976 in Aspen, Colorado, January 1976. You don't find too many pictures of Elvis on board of his airplane, the Lisa Marie. This rather unknown picture of Elvis wearing what looks like a jogging jacket, taken in January 1976 in Aspen, Colorado. Posing for the camera are Elvis, Mrs. Jack Kent, R.L. Skeet Antonio, and sitting, Ron Pietrafso. Elvis and Linda Thompson, either late June 30th or early morning, July 1, 1973. 1972 through George Klein, Elvis is introduced to Linda Thompson at the Memphian. He sees her again the following night and is captivated by her beauty and sense of humor, but is prevented for the time being from following up when she goes off on a 3-week family vacation. Original newspaper article from the Memphis Commercial Appeal, July 27, 1975. Elvis Presley bought a $1.2 million turboprop for his longtime manager, Colonel Tom Parker, and had it flown to Las Vegas yesterday to surprise the cigar-chomping promotional wizard. The Commercial Appeal learned yesterday. "You've got to be kidding," said Parker, who was telephoned in Las Vegas before the plane arrived. "I can't believe it and won't till I see it." The white Grumman Gulfstream G1 with blue trim left Memphis about 9 a.m. yesterday, headed to Las Vegas. Elvis, who could not be reached for comment, remained at his Graceland mansion, sources said. An airport executive in Vicksburg, Mississippi, said Elvis began negotiating with Kappa Earth Enterprises there for the luxury jet sight unseen about 2 weeks ago. He said the twin-engine plane, which cruises at speeds of 450 to 600 miles per hour, was flown to Memphis 10 days ago and then to Asheville, North Carolina, where Elvis was performing, so he could look at it before completing the deal. Officials of Kappa Earth Enterprises could not be reached for comment yesterday. The plane has a gold-carpeted interior with a stereo system, flight phone and bar. It will seat up to 22 persons and is as nice as any you'll ever find, the source said. Another source said the bar will probably not be used since Parker does not drink. The source close to Elvis said Parker does not like to fly in big planes. He said Elvis decided to buy the plane after it took 4 leased aircraft to carry his touring company to his last concert. Elvis bought himself a 109-passenger airplane last month for a reported $1 million. It is being refurbished in Fort Worth. The Convair 880 was formerly used by Delta Airlines. Incorporated after it is refurbished, it will seat 32, be equipped with 2 bedrooms and an office. It is not expected to be ready until September. Photos shown are a representation of Gulfstream G1 airplane. JetStar production totaled 204 aircraft by final delivery in 1978. Most original JetStars have been retired, but many 731 JetStars and JetStar IIs are still flying in various roles. A JetStar that was owned by Elvis Presley in his later years, named Hound Dog II, is on display at Graceland. The King of Pop decided to acquire a second aircraft that could be used in the meanwhile. This became the Hound Dog II, a Lockheed Starjet that could carry up to 10 passengers and was operated by 2 pilots and a flight attendant, similarly to his first airplane. Presley picked the airplane's unique color scheme himself. Featuring a sofa and several seats, raised above a central alley, the airplane shared his original aircraft specifications. Featuring a distinctive system with 4 engines, mounted on the rear of the fuselage, the Lockheed JetStar was one of the most in-demand private jet of its time. Elvis Presley's legendary midnight sandwich run on his private jet on the night of February 1, 1976. Elvis Presley took his private jet from Graceland to Denver and back in one night because he was craving an 8,000-calorie sandwich made from a hollowed-out loaf filled with an entire jar of peanut butter, 1 jar of jelly, and a pound of bacon. Not your average snack, priced at $50. This is the story of how the Fool's Gold Loaf became the Elvis Presley of sandwiches, king of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Late one night at Graceland, Elvis was entertaining his buddies from out of town, Captain Jerry Kennedy of the Denver, Colorado Police Force, and Ron Pietrafso of Colorado's Strike Force Against Crime. The Denver police, who worked as bodyguards for visiting celebrities and VIPs like Elvis, would often take the stars to a favorite local restaurant called the Colorado Mine Company, and the 3 men began reminiscing about a particular sandwich on the menu that had left quite the impression on Mr. Presley. So much so that the music icon decided he had to have one, right then and there. The Lisa Marie, a Convair 880 named after the rock legend's daughter, featuring a red, white and blue exterior, gold-plated bathroom fixtures, a stereo system, a conference room and bed, flew 2 hours to a special hangar in Denver where they arrived at 1:40 a.m. Just like Cinderella's pumpkin, Elvis' private jet was awaiting to take the hungry friends for a midnight snack in Denver. There, they were greeted by the couple who owned the Colorado Mine Company, Buck Scott and his wife Cindy, carrying 22 fresh Fool's Gold loaves. They spent 3 hours in the hangar eating the sandwiches, washing them down with Perrier and champagne. Presley also invited the pilots, Buck, Cindy and their young cook Nick Angelakis, who had prepared the sandwiches, to dine with them on board the Lisa Marie. When they were done, they flew back to Memphis without ever having left the Denver airport. Because of its connection to Elvis and its particularly outrageous ingredients, the Fool's Gold loaf sandwich became somewhat of a legend in its own and has been included in numerous cookbooks typically focused around Presley's love of food. The sandwich was originally priced at $49.95, hence its Fool's Gold name, and in later years, it was priced as high as $65. The Colorado Mine Company has since closed, but if you're curious to try the famous sandwich, you can still find the real deal. The teenage chef who prepared the Elvis Midnight Snack back in 1976, later opened his own joint in Golden, Colorado called Nick's Cafe, where he's been selling the King's favorite sandwich for the last 30 years. He also provides the recipe for Fool's Gold loaf on his cafe's website but notes that the specific jam used in the original sandwich, Dickinson's Blueberry Preserves, is no longer produced today. "This is no ordinary peanut butter and jelly sandwich, folks," writes Nick, "eat at your own risk. Here's the recipe: ingredients 2 tablespoons of margarine, 1 loaf French white bread, 1 pound bacon slices, 1 jar of smooth peanut butter, 1 jar of grape jelly. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich fit for a king."